Welcome back to the interview with Russell Earl Magowan. This is part 11, and you continue.
Yeah, I should begin to talk, I believe, and make it known that I met Marguerite Baumel. I met her at a dance. And how did I meet her? Well, I said that I was boarding in Burbank, but I moved from that boarding house to another one, and I saw an ad in the paper where a man had a room for rent in his own house, so I went there, and he was about my age, and a nice guy, and so I went there and rented a room from him, and then we ate out, and we became friends. So we went to a dance together in North Hollywood, and I met Marguerite there, and he went with Marguerite's friend who she was with, and I went with Marguerite, and then Marguerite said to me, she said, if you want to live with me, I'll share with you. And I said, oh, okay. So she had her own home. She owned it. She'd been married to a dentist. Her husband had been a dentist, but he passed away. And she had two children, Joe and Beverly. And they were beautiful. She was a beautiful woman, not only attractive in appearance, but beautiful as a person, very kind and nice. And I was with Marguerite for 23 years, and I never had one argument to my knowledge with her. I just loved that lady very much, and I do miss her, of course. But she lived, believe me or not, to 2 months from 100. I didn't realize that she was so much older than me at the time that I met her. But one day she had a doctor appointment. We went there, and there was a little black girl that was taking the information at the desk, and she said, oh, look, you're 72, she said to Marguerite. Well, that was quite a bit older than me, I think at that time. Anyway, maybe it was more than 72, I forget what age, but it was quite a bit older, about 23 years older than me, I think she was. And I was a little surprised because I'd never asked her age, and I never went to look at her driver's license. She had her driver's license, and she drove. And in the garage, she had a 58 Chevrolet, just like brand new, that her husband had left in the garage. And she'd driven it some uptown to eat, I guess, now and then. But it was just like brand new. And eventually, I sold it for her for $4,500. And which was a good price because it was so nice. But anyway, she and I traveled all over the world. She said she loved to travel, and I did too. And she said, I'm not going to cook anymore. I've cooked all my life. If you don't mind, I'd rather not cook. I said, that's all right with me. So we ate out in restaurants for 23 years. We ate in all the restaurants, and I could tell you a lot about all of them. And the waitresses got to know us, and the cooks. And every now and then I'd slip $5 to the waitress to give to the cook. And then when we come in, boy, we got a plate full of beautiful food. Believe me, it was tricky the way we handled that. But it wasn't much more expensive to eat out. She paid half, but she didn't do it each time we had a meal, give me half. We didn't work that way. She'd just give me, how much is going to be this week? I'd tell her a couple hundred or 100. She'd give it to me, and then I'd put my money with it. And that way, we never had any trouble over money at all. And when we went on a trip, if the trip was $2,200, why, she'd give me $1,100, and I'd put $1,100, and I'd carry all the money. And if she wanted something, why, we bought it. And it was really nice. We didn't have problems that way. And we went all over. We went to South America, to Rio de Janeiro, Sugarloaf Mountain. I have pictures of her up there. And we went to Argentina, and Buenos Aires, and Uruguay, and Ecuador, Venezuela, and we went. Then we went on a Carribean cruise out of Miami, and that was beautiful on a ship to Haiti and those places. So we had a lot of experiences that way. Then we went to Europe, and we went to Milan, and where the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cathedral, so beautiful. It took 600 years to build the cathedral. I think it has 1,200 spires. I couldn't believe it. When we walked away, I had to turn back and keep looking at it. It was just fabulous. But anyway, we went also to Rome and the Vatican, and we saw all those things together. She lived to be 2 months from 100. She never was sick, but the last 2 years she was bedridden pretty well, and I took care of her for 2 solid years. And I swear to God that she'd never go to a rest home if it did me in. I meant it, and it almost did, because I was up night and day. She had bed sore, and I had to keep turning her. I had to feed her, and it took about 20-30 minutes because she gagged and couldn't eat. And she got wet. I had to change her and all the bedding. And I did all those things for 2 years, and I became so exhausted I thought I was going to pass away. So I called her son and told him that possibly I needed help. And so he came up with his wife, and they discussed it with her, and we decided to get somebody in, and she'd pay for it. Marguerite was not wealthy, but she had a little money, not much. So I took care of her finances. I signed her check, her bank account, but I was very, very careful with it. And when she passed away, there was still some left, because I didn't allow any of it to go needlessly. But anyway, we put an ad in the paper, and little Tessie came. And Tessie was a Filipino, and she was tiny, and a darling little woman. And so she answered the ad, and she wanted to be the caregiver. Oh, I'm ahead of myself. First we got Cheryl. And Cheryl was a lesbian, believe it or not, and she was about 23-year-old, and she looked like a boy. And she came and answered the ad, and we only paid her $150 a week in room and board. And she had a motorcycle, and she and I used to ride the motorcycle. I had a motorcycle, so we used to ride motorcycle together. And she was a wonderful cook. I have many pictures of the food she prepared for Marguerite and I, and we really loved her. But she'd go away, and she went to gay bars, I think, and one time they beat her up. She came all black-eyed. I guess somebody made a pass at her or something. I don't know what happened. But anyway, she went with a lesbian, which I didn't care a bit as long as she did her job at home. One day I went out and looked at the trash can in the back, and I found 6 vodka bottles and about 4 or 5 cigarette packs. I took all of them out and put them up on the lid. Then I took a picture of it, and when I got my pictures developed, she always looked at the pictures, because I took a lot of pictures of her, but I kept one copy of those pictures to put in the album. And I said, "This is what you do, don't you?" It's after 6 o'clock in her room. That's what she did. She used to go down to the bar, no, the liquor store at the corner, I guess, and get a small bottle, like a half a pint, and drink it, which is her business. I didn't give a hoot what she did on her own time. But anyway, she stayed with us for about a year. And I asked her, I said, "Do you want to take all this old wallpaper off the walls?" Because the house and the bedrooms had horrible old wallpaper. From 1954 this house was built, so it was ugly. And she said it had to be scraped off. She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, we'll pay you $7 an hour and your regular pay additional if you want to do it." So she did. She scraped all that off. Then she painted all the rooms in the house. And then later, she and I painted the outside of the house together. And I thought a lot of Cheryl. She was really a good girl. But then one night she came home, and she banged, and she opened the door and slammed it, and went in her bedroom and slammed that door. So I was asleep. I got up and I went, "What's going on, Cheryl?" And I looked at her, and she came and looked at me, and she looked like a wild person. She was so high on dope that she didn't know where she was at. So I had a key to the front. She wanted a key to her room, so I had the key too. So I locked the door. When she got in there, I locked it. And in the morning, when she got up, I called her and I said, "Cheryl, I have something to say to you." She said, "I know. You want me to go?" I said, "That's right, honey. You'll have to go now. We can't have you anymore." So she was sober then, and she said, "Okay, I'll go back and live with my dad in Milwaukee." So I have a cell phone now, and it don't cost anything on the weekend, and I frequently call Cheryl on the weekends and talk to her because I love that girl even today. And when she left, why, then we put the ad in the paper for the Filipino.